Agreed. So let's start rolling.
Yeah.
Let's roll through some of these positions. Let's start quarterback. The quarterback room right now is Tyler Buchner, Drew Pine, and then Steven Jelly is coming in. Obviously, I think is he an early enrollee, Brian?
He is.
He is. Okay. So he's on campus right now. First day of classes is today. So he's there. Let's see. So quarterback, I personally have them as a close at the moment because there's still question marks about Tyler Buchner. Now, for me personally, I think he can be a championship level quarterback.
Yeah, it's similar to the coaching situation.
It's very similar.
The talent is there.
Yes.
But there's a lot to prove.
Yes. Which is why I'm not a proponent of going out and getting a Jackson Dart, for example. Right.
I think Tyler Buchner's better than Jackson Dart.
I do too. I agree with you. And I just think he needs to. I'm excited to see what happens now that he's going to be at least competing for QB1. Like, what is this going to look like now that he's going to get starters reps? Because again, he was getting third string reps all season, and plus his package or whatever. But what is he going to look like if he's getting starter reps? Right. And so I think he can be a championship level quarterback. And so that's why I have them, again, very similar to the coaching. It's B, but I think they can get to an A. And so, I'm
not handing out like grades like that. I mean, it's to me that's not where I'm at.
That's not what I meant. The way I have it written here is A is champ, B is close, C is So it's more like multiple choice, not grades. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So my multiple choice is the second one, which is close, moving into the first one.
Gotcha.
I
just want to point out that the team that won the national championship last night, their offensive coordinator was also their quarterback's coach. I just want to point that out since there's the discussion going on that every Alabama team that's won a championship under Saban, and it's 6, right? He's won 6, correct? Mm-hmm. So 9, 11, 12, 15, 17, and then last year he's won 6. In all 6 of those years, the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator are the same human being. So I just want to point that out for the people that are just adamant that there's only one way to do it, and it's their way is right and my way is wrong, whatever. I'm just pointing out evidence that, teams are winning championships with quarterback coaches who also coach the offense as a whole. So anyway, to me, it's about my confidence in the quarterback room begins with Tyler Buchner and ends with Drew Pine, because I don't think it's just Tyler Buchner, because I don't think you can just have one quarterback you can win with.
Sure.
I'm still a believer that Drew Pine can. I mean, look, I have more, like everybody's like, oh, Stetson Bennett is Ian Book. And I'm like, no. Ian Book had way better physical tools than Stetson Bennett.
Yep.
The difference is Stetson Bennett was a gutsy, gritty kid that was more than willing to attempt big-time throws. He made 7 or 8 throws last night. Ian Book would never even attempt in a big game. Drew Pine is the guy that if you want to say, okay, you want to compare some to Notre Dame to Stetson Bennett, it's Drew Pine, not Ian Book, because Drew Pine will take chances. Drew Pine is a lot more confident than you might think for a guy with his God-given ability. And so to me, it's the two of them. And somebody asked what happens if Pine outplays Buchner in the spring, and Pine starts.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
And that means that Pine had a really good spring.
And my opinion doesn't change.
Right.
Because I'm a lot higher on Drew Pine than a lot of other people. And so I believe that the quarterback room is close. The guys that are there have to prove it, but they got to go out and recruit better. The 2023 class is going to be very important. You've got to get a big-time quarterback in 2023 because it's about building for future success as well. And Steve Angeli's a nice player, but he's just not quite there yet. And somebody said Tyler Buchner put up Dart-like numbers as a junior in high school, and John Zabrowski said Tyler Jackson threw 67 TDs as a senior, brother. Hey, John, brother, Tyler Buchner had more total touchdowns than Jackson Dart in one less game as a junior in high school, because last I checked, rushing touchdowns count the same as passing touchdowns. And Jackson Dart had 67 passing touchdowns. Tyler Buchner had 50. I think it was 53 to 55. Jackson Dart had 12 rushing touchdowns. Tyler Buchner he had 53 passing touchdowns compared to 67 for Jackson Dart. Tyler Buckner had 26 rushing touchdowns compared to 12 for Jackson Dart in one fewer game. Tyler Buckner played 13 games as a junior. Jackson Dart played 14, and Tyler Buckner had more yards and more total touchdowns. So I don't believe you get brownie points for it being a passing touchdown. So with all due respect, that's just not a good comeback.
I think we're comparing high school numbers, guys.
But the point is why are people thinking
exactly.
Jackson Dart's this big time quarterback? Because look at the numbers he's put up. Well, Buckner put up even better numbers. Well, what about competition? Jackson Dart's from Utah,
right? How much? Yeah, exactly. That's all that you can just period.
Yeah, I stopped talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, to me, the quarterback talent is there, but at the end of the day, talent doesn't win you a championship. Producing wins you a championship. Right, because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't produce, you're not going to be effective. So to me, quarterback is close from a talent standpoint. They're a long way away from a production standpoint, especially in big games. Long way away. So to me, Notre Dame is kind of in category 2 and 3. 2 from a talent standpoint, 3 from a production standpoint. If those two things come together, then they become in the first category, which is they're good enough. They're not there yet, but to me, they're close. But I would argue that Notre Dame has been close from a talent standpoint for a while. The problem is they don't play to their talent. That's been an issue for a decade. What we're going to find out in 2022 was that a Brian Kelly thing, or has Brian Kelly got a bad rap for that? That's what we're going to start to. We're not going to know the whole answer in 2022, but we're going to start to see that answer. And so quarterback is